All right, these are my top 5 mistakes as a new car buyer, and if I had another chance to purchase this vehicle, these are the things that I would do differently. All right, number 1, read your car's manual. I'm not saying take this thing out and read it before you leave the lot, but as soon as you get home, you should spend some time getting familiar with the manual, at least glancing through it and becoming familiar with a few important things. And then spending 2 or 3 hours, however long it takes, to read the entire manual that night or the next day before you get too many miles on your vehicle, because there's some important things that you need to set up and be aware of before you push your vehicle to the limit. This vehicle has a 1,000 mile recommended break-in period. I know that because I looked it up online before I purchased the car, but I still didn't read the manual once I got it, and now that I've read the manual, it's also in there along with a lot of other important things. One of which is how to operate the windshield wipers. I mean, look at this lever. There's many different functions, and the little diagrams aren't exactly the most intuitive without figuring out what they mean in the manual. My second mistake: make sure this maintenance packet gets filled out by the dealer before you leave the lot. The dealer that I purchased my vehicle from did the maintenance inspection, but they forgot to fill out this packet, and I didn't even think about looking at this packet until I got home. And you can see right here that this page is completely blank, and that's supposed to be filled out before you leave the dealer. It's got spots for service every 10,000 mile increment, and I'm gonna make sure I get the rest of those filled out, but I'm kind of salty that I didn't get the first page filled out. The third mistake I made could have been easily avoided had I read the manual like I just recommended, but I didn't. So this car in particular has a setting that should be configured before you put any miles on the car to set the tire pressure with the main onboard computer so that it knows when the tires are getting low. And I did not do this, at least not from the dealership, so I had to do it later after I already had a few hundred miles on the car. And my biggest problem with this is that when I was cleaning the car the other week, I found a huge nail stuck in one of the tires. And so if I would have never set the setting and not seen the nail, I wouldn't have even known that my car's tire pressure was getting low and that I may need to replace the tire. But now, at least, I will know that before it's too late. The fourth mistake I made was not doing a thorough vehicle inspection before leaving the lot. And I was pretty prepared for this vehicle, and I did months and months of research into cars and what I wanted. I actually test drove this vehicle multiple different times at the dealership before I decided it was the exact one that I wanted. And I thought I knew every nook and cranny of the car inside and out, but when I was washing this just the other day, I found a very minor scratch on this rear spoiler air diffuser part. I don't know if we can see that. It's really small, but it's not something you want to see on your new car. And if I was at the dealer, they could at least fill that in or do something, whereas now I don't have anything that I can do to it unless I go buy some product from the store. So that's a little disappointing. Now the fifth and final mistake that I made was not waiting for the perfect time to buy this car. I had been looking into cars for well over a year, spent the few months up to my purchase every day on the internet looking at different vehicles and everything about all of them. And I thought I knew the right time to buy and how to negotiate a deal. I did get a very good deal negotiating at the dealership for this vehicle, but I purchased it in the middle of May, and had I waited 2 weeks later for Memorial Day weekend, car dealerships have a huge discount on vehicles on their lots, at least around here, and Had I waited those 2 weeks, I probably could have saved another grand or two, and it's worth waiting if you're going to save money like that. So those are the top 5 mistakes that I made purchasing this new vehicle. With that being said, I love everything about it and have no other regrets. And I hope everyone watching this can learn from my mistakes.